Ever felt like you're carrying a small gym's worth of equipment on your back just to get the perfect shot? We've all been there, juggling wide angles, heavy zooms, and telephoto lenses until your shoulders are screaming by noon. It's the classic photographer's dilemma. You want to be prepared for everything, so you pack for everything. But by the time you've finished, your 50-liter bag weighs 8,000 pounds, and you're dying at the end of the day. Well, today is no different. I'm bringing all that gear, but this time, there's a twist. I'm proving that you can actually leave the heavy, expensive primes at home. After an agonizing 8-year wait, Sony has finally dropped the latest iteration of the all-in-one super zoom powerhouse, the RX10 Mark V. And let me tell you, this thing is an absolute beast. Let's be honest, the camera industry has been shifting toward mirrorless systems that get smaller and lighter, but the lenses? The lenses just keep getting bigger and more expensive. That is why the RX10 series has always been a cult classic. It's the bridge camera that actually bridges the gap between convenience and professional-grade quality. When the Mark IV came out, it was revolutionary. But 8 years is an eternity in tech. Today, we're going to geek out on the specs, but more importantly, we're going to take this out into the field to see if it truly handles the scenarios that usually require a bag full of glass. First, let's talk about that legendary lens. We have a full-frame equivalent of 24 to 600 millimeters. That is unheard of in such a portable package. You've got the wide-angle view for sweeping landscapes, and you can instantly punch into 600 millimeters for wildlife shots that would normally require a tripod and a massive telephoto lens. And with a 2.4 to f4 variable aperture, it stays surprisingly bright across that zoom range. Now, some people will tell you that the sensor size is the limit. But hear me out. Sony didn't just recycle the lens. They upgraded the soul of the camera to make that glass perform better than it ever has. Sony has thrown the kitchen sink at the internal components. We are talking about the BIONZ XR processor paired with a dedicated AI processing chip. This is the exact same engine that powers the Sony A7R V, a camera that costs significantly more. What does that mean for you? It means subject detection that feels like magic. It's not just recognizing a face. It's identifying humans, animals, birds, insects, planes, and cars in real time. The autofocus doesn't just try to keep up. It locks on with a level of reliability that makes you feel like you can't miss a shot. And then there is the speed. We're talking 30 frames per second in a blackout-free shooting mode. For anyone who has ever tried to photograph a bird in flight or a soccer ball midair, you know the frustration of the viewfinder blacking out between shots. With the Mark V, you're looking at a live, fluid feed the entire time. It's a game changer for timing and composition. The sensor is a 1-inch fully stacked 20.1 megapixel unit, which is the perfect sweet spot for balancing high-resolution detail with the speed required for those 30 frames per second bursts. But let's pivot to video, because that's where things get really interesting. We have uncropped 4K 60 frames per second, which is oversampled from 5.4K resolution. This gives you that crisp, pro look that doesn't feel digital or harsh. You also get 4K 120 frames per second for high-quality slow motion, perfect for capturing action in the city or the fluid movement of wildlife. And yes, they included S-Log3. For the color graders out there, this means you can match this camera with your larger cinema rigs, apply your own LUTs, and maintain a consistent look across your entire production. Ergonomically, this camera is a study in efficiency. It feels like a miniature A7 series camera. Everything is laid out for the right hand, which makes a huge difference when you're out moving through a crowd. The zoom rocker is intuitive. The menu system is vastly improved. It's the classic Sony menu that is organized, fast, and easy to navigate. And let's talk about the Z series battery. Moving to the Z series is a huge quality of life update. You're looking at about 630 shots per charge, which is a massive leap from the 400 shots on the Mark IV. You can basically go all day without worrying about a spare. They've also added a joystick, which is the feature I've been screaming for. Trying to move a focus point without a joystick is honestly one of the most annoying things in photography. Now, it's right there under your thumb. The build quality is solid, and while the buttons feel a bit more tactile and perhaps a bit more plasticky than the high-end A7R series, it's a necessary trade-off to keep the weight down. If you like the video, subscribe, share the video, and hit the bell icon.